I'm still working on trying to figure out how to pull up someone's profile to share it.
Mm-hmm.
I have yet to figure out how to do that.
Okay.
Okay, so we are recording. Um, in human design, they call the two the hermit,
Yeah.
and in Gene Keys, it's called the dancer.
Okay.
Um, it's about following your natural gifts with self assurance, strength, freedom, and intimacy.
Right.
You have a need to have periods alone by yourself. That's critical for your own self care. Um, blame is one of the shadows of the second line. It's your fault I'm feeling this way.
Yeah.
Something in life happened that it's their fault.
Yeah.
Once you get to a place of really internalizing responsibility, yes, they said that, but your choice is the reaction. Am I going to be at peace or am I going to get mad and blow up back at them? So the responsibility is really you, not them. Does that sort of have some resonance?
Um, yeah, ugh, yeah, there's a lot of that's a very highly charged one. It's
Yeah.
because because of the experience I've had. Um, I'm looking, how do I say to you that my whole existence has been in the shadow of my father's absolute annihilation of my existence? Um, not a unpresent, well, physically present,
Hmm.
but
Yeah, I know how that goes. My dad was a workaholic and sexaholic.
oh, was he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was the third child. I was 8 and 10 years younger than my older sisters. So I was not part of the plan. And he
Gotcha.
was not happy when my mother said that she was pregnant with
Well,
me.
when we go into the developmental stages where these numbers are going to be significant for you.
Okay.
Um, you're
So I
you're
guess what I'm trying to give you an answer to your question, it's been high, how do you choose in the womb? That's my question. How do you make
right.
that choice in the womb
Hmm.
to not react? So it's kind so I look at it as, okay, so I guess this is karma. This is it's taken it's only gotten there recently where
Hmm.
I can have enough room to feel like I can make a choice for something different.
Well, good. You're best to surround yourself with people who have no agendas, very high frequency people, which I know sounds nearly as an impossibility. But when you're coming across people with dishonesty and people who won't respect boundaries, it's
Yeah,
real important for you to just back away from that.
yeah, and I've increased that learning in the last 2 years. I ending, friendships. A year ago, I ended a friendship of 11 years because of this, exactly what you're saying.
The
And
wound,
I have a magnetic, there's been a magnet. I've had a magnet for those people to come to me,
of
those
course,
people
but
with
we'll get
agenda.
into your sphere of attraction in just a second.
Yeah.
The wound of the second line is denial.
Uh-huh.
That didn't happen.
No.
And the way that it is healed is with ease. Ease, not trying to change it, not trying to make it different, just be at ease with it. As we cross over to the fourth line, um, I'm not sure what, I think they call it the changer in human design. I mean, in gene keys. In human design, it's called the opportunist.
Oh,
It thrives and loves community. And the fourth line is best when it is using heartfelt being of service. Do you know what I mean by that?
yes,
Yeah, it's not doing it because you have to or
yes.
because someone needs to. You do stuff because it's coming from a place of love and you want to. And
Hmm.
it's not about getting anything back.
Yeah.
The wound of the fourth line is rejection. And the shadow of the fourth line is about overgiving. And it can be about manipulation and corruption. So that's something you have to watch internally.
Hmm.
Are you doing stuff to manipulate people to get what you want, or just saying, I need this, and give them the opportunity to say, yes, I can do it, or no, I cannot? And overgiving, you know, you have to pace yourself with knowing what you have, especially as a projector, and when you can give. Do you know what your internal authority is?
Emotion.
That's what I figured. Same as me.
Yeah.
I'm a I'm a 5-1 energy projector with emotional authority.
Okay.
I just recently did an ayahuasca weekend,
Yeah.
and I really got to learn and understand the waves of emotion and how powerful they can be. You know, they were just extreme, then it would just go away. It was really an intense experience.
Hmm.
Okay. The shadow is healed with gentleness. So you have ease and gentleness. If you have not read Richard's book, The Art of Contemplation, or taken that class, it's only like $30. I highly recommend it. It's
Yeah.
all it's all about, and contemplation is not just mental, which everybody thinks it is, as
Right.
everybody thinks decision making should be mental.
Yeah.
Um, but it looks at the mental aspect, the body aspect, how it feels, and the soul aspect. All three of those are parts of the contemplation. Okay, so let me get into the Venus sequence. Oh, wait a minute. There's one thing I do have to look up. Because of the purpose serves twofold. It's your purpose in life and it's your purpose in relationships. And by purpose, I don't mean what you do, I mean what you are. And there you have a fourth line, which is I should remember this. I dated it for a 2-4. Um, in relationships, it's called the politician or the nurturer. Your purpose in relationships is to be the nurturer. And the politician side is, how are you doing? I'm fine.
Yeah.
It's And that's just closing off any intimacy
Yeah.
because you're just blocking it. I'm fine.
Yeah.
We don't have to go any further.
Yeah.
I don't have to nurture you
Yeah.
or nurture yourself.
Hmm.
Um, so that's the beginning of the Venus. The attraction field, you have a third line, and the third line is about promiscuity and playfulness. The gift that you have there is equilibrium, balance. That's what people are attracted to you. I did. I purposely don't look up the keys so I can't cheat, and I don't have them all memorized anyways. But when you look up your profile, you can look up the key aspects. Now, from the attraction sphere, we go into the last of the developmental stages, from like 12, from about age 12 to 19. It is the IQ sphere. Most people understand the term IQ. It's how you mentally process. And again, you have a third line there. You have a lot of third lines in your development.
Yes, I
Um,
do.
the third line is the flexible mind. And the shadow side is that it can be very evasive. You're not going to let people know what you really think. You'll just give them the piece that you think they need.
Yeah. Yeah.
As and that comes off of as you developed as a child, from 7 to 12, your emotional development, or EQ. And there you have a line 4, which is either kindness or meanness. You can go either way, especially if someone's sort of pinning you down and
Hmm.
in the corner, that
Hmm.
meanness will snap.
Yeah.
That's something to be self aware of. And anytime you're starting to feel that, allow yourself to pivot to kindness. The SQ is the developmental stage from birth to age 7. And here you have a line 3 again. And that is about pleasure, adventure, and understanding. The gift you have there is precision. And the last line is the core wound. It's sort of what you brought into this lifetime in your ancestral DNA. And again, you have a line 3. So, okay, so the wound that you brought into this lifetime is shame. And shame is healed with humor, not taking things so seriously, take them lightly. Find the funniness in the absurdity. And the core wound begins the pearl sequence, which is about prosperity. I have yet to study the pearl sequence. I've been doing gene keys about 5 years,
Okay.
but so I don't have much knowledge of the pearl. But the beginning part of the pearl, you have a line 3, and it's about strategy and the ability to implement it. And the gift that you have there is vitality. The culture, which I'm not even sure what that sphere is, so I can't really explain it. It's the only place that you have a line one.
Yeah.
And a line one is about being an individual. The gift you have there is restraint. I happen to know what that key is because I happen to have it.
Uh-huh.
I think the shadow is stress, but I won't go into that. The pearl, which is what is your gift to the world, is a fourth line, and that is about charity. And the gift you have there is precision. I think I've seen that before.
Yeah.
Yep, you have that in your SQ. It's about your very early development. So whatever those challenges were is the foundation of your gift to the world. And then that goes back into the life's work where your gift is transmutation. And it's the second line, being a dancer, movement. Have you ever been on Momo's calls for the dance party?
No, I do get her emails.
Yeah.
I did, I thought, okay, let's give this a try sometime, but I
Yeah,
haven't yet.
you're a dancer. Try.
I kind of lock up when I even think of it.
Right. Of course, it's going to be a challenge. That's what it's there for. That's what you are.
Yeah.
Well, how do you feel about this?
Can you say more about the life's work transmutation, the gift dancer?
Um, I would have to look up what the actual key is.
Oh, it's 47.
47. Are you familiar with Rosie's cards?
Yes.
That's what I was going to read.
Okay. Go ahead.
And
I mean, we're in the mood, we're in the zone.
I just got out of the hospital 3 days ago, so I'm still a little woozy.
Yeah, what was that about? I mean, it's not my business, but
Um,
you okay?
I had had an infection for a while. I'm immune compromised,
Uh-huh. Like
and
me.
I had gotten Legionnaire's pneumonia.
Wow.
I thought Legionnaire's disease went out in the 50s, but apparently
Uh-huh.
it's making a surge.
Is it?
Okay, I've got the cards here, but not the book. You done folding? Get the stuff out of the laundry and the stuff in the dryer. Please. What was the number again?
47.
47. It doesn't speak to the line, but it speaks to the life's work. The only way of transcending suffering is to move deeply into it, embracing every feeling and event that comes to you. The shadow is oppression. The gift is transmutation, and the highest vibration is transfiguration. The programming partner is the 22nd key. Hold on, I gotta find my water here. Okay. I had a reoccurring nightmare as a child.
Oh, yeah.
It always ended with a bearded man hovering over me with a giant blade as I guarded something behind my back. I'd always wake up screaming just before the blade touched my chest.
Wow.
Ironically, a bearded man is reading this to you.
Haha, yes.
My father was a weak and quiet man. He didn't speak of his oppressive family past or believed in much of anything. My mother was a woman who rigorously embraced the dogma of the church, convinced a negative entity was attached to her daughter. She dragged me to church for years, and I prayed for forgiveness and to be rid of evil, but the nightmares only intensified. By the time I was a young woman, I avoided sleeping at all cost. One night, I was so overcome with hopelessness that I broke down in front of my father, finally sharing my dream with him. He became strangely curious, as if he needed to know more. His surprised response awakened a curiosity and a courage within me. That night, I went willingly to sleep, though I still awoke before the knife hit me. I was able to retrieve more information. The next night, the same thing happened, and again the next. I got to a point where I could enter the dream at will, like a sleuth, always leaving seconds before the murder happens. My father hungered for each new detail that came through. I was it was as if the two of us were assembling pieces of an ancient puzzle. One night I detected faint lettering on the bearded man's belt. I drew the three letters from my father. He ran to his room, rushed back with an old book of Nordic symbols given to him by his grandfather that he'd never mentioned having before. Immediately we saw the meaning of these three symbols: journey, gift, and joy. I'd never seen my father's eyes glow like that. I couldn't wait to go to sleep again that night. This time, I let the dagger plunge right into my heart. There was no blood, there was no pain, just radiant light filled my chest. Turning to face what I've been protecting for all those years, I saw the treasure box overflowing with jewelry. The bearded man reappeared this time, beaming with kindness. Instead of a sword, he held a picture of my father as a child in his hands. And he said, "Tell your father I ask for his forgiveness, and tell him that I love him." My father and I were never the same after this. Our ancestral relations strengthened, healed, and transformed us. Today, there is nothing I am not willing to see or feel. I uncover the treasure afterwards. The gift of this message for you is I'm here to ask you to move towards that which terrifies you. You may think you have a fixed identity, but you do not. You are forever changing. Well, that's what the two is, a changer. You are designed to bump up against limitations and then to dissolve into something else. Transmutation is the key to your evolution. I come when it's time to hold nothing back, to embrace everything, and to live dangerously. Release all definitions of who you are and what you're capable of, and get comfortable with fear. Willing to take the lid off? Are you willing to take the lid off of Pandora's box? If you truly want to transcend your suffering, you must move deeply into it, to surrender. You can make quantum leaps at any time, and your true purpose will be revealed to you. Here are some questions. Have you given up on your life? Do you sometimes feel like no matter what you do, your life won't get any better? What are the fears that you are refusing to face or deal with? Do you feel best when you're mentally certain about something? Do you ever feel oppressed by your own mind? Is it hard to relate to people who think differently than you? Think of something that really truly scares you and move towards it in a symbolic or creative act. Reflect on times in your life that you've already experienced transmutation. That is it, sir. All right.
Hmm.
How does that hit you?
Hmm.
Recording.
Let me see. Uh,
It's okay to just sit and be with it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll give you, I'll send you a link to this recording.
Hmm.
You ready for me to stop it, or do you have more you want to say?
Let's see. Um, hmm. The only thing I would say is that the this last component is there's a lot of charge there, and there's that's the place to stay in contemplation of. Um, yeah, yeah. Because immediately I go to I don't. It's hmm. I think it might be described well in human design. Um, being understood and having the listening, having someone hear the experience and extent of suffering that I have experienced. Um, it it seems like there's something that really wants that, and there's also something that says that it's not possible. No one can understand the 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 degree of suffering. You go on, like I said in the beginning, as you alluded to experiencing yourself, of having an unpresent and uh, a father who did not interact, and who gave no um, permission, didn't give any permission to exist.
or love or
Yeah,
acknowledgement or
yeah,
advice or anything.
yeah,
I understand that.
yeah. And so that shows up later. Those things show up later, and you go down, get down a road to get those things. Being overly productive and overly giving and overly able, overly capable, and then if you take all that apart to try to get to your real self,
Mhm.
um,
The deconditioning takes a while.
yeah,
What were the two key points? Patience and gentleness or
yeah.
ease.
This is patience of 20 years of doing this, and or more, 23 years of doing this,
Yeah.
exploration and self-inquiry inside of extreme challenge and extreme struggle, and 15 years of poverty, and still staying with it.
Yeah, survival was one of my big keys. I've made $1 million by the time I was 27,
Uh-huh.
and I've lost everything 3 times. I've been homeless 3 times.
Uh-huh.
So, but I 55 is my radiance, which is the shadow of victimization.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of what my work has been self-responsibility and not being in that victim mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, those things happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they were about lessons. They were about making me what I am now,
Mm-hmm.
which I am very grateful for
Mm-hmm.
and have the ability to love.
Right. Right.
And I think that's the whole point.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. And
All right. On that note, I'm going to stop the recording.